Come on in.
Let's go.
Karlene Kerfoot, Chief Nursing Officer of Simpler.
Karlene is a tireless advocate. She's an idea generator who's always thinking of the big picture and incredibly generous with her time.
Lots of things excite me about healthcare today. I think we're on the verge of greatness in a lot of areas. The most important thing that excites me is outcomes, not in terms of what we do, but what it creates for the patient. And I think that's really exciting.
Karlene is one of the smartest and most insightful nurses I have ever known.
The greatest joy is innovation. We know what we've done, but if we can innovate and do things better than what we did yesterday, the day before, that really, really, really is exciting for me.
Nurses are absolutely everywhere.
Perhaps more importantly, Karlene is a good person.
Every day is a day of joy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bonnie Barnes, one of the co-founders of the Daisy Foundation, and I have the privilege of hosting today's celebration of an extraordinary nurse, a dear friend and family member, and a colleague, Dr. Karlene Kerfoot. Mark and I met Karlene at an AONE meeting in 2008. She came to our Daisy display and asked all the probing questions you know Karlene would ask when she saw something that was new to her. And then she wandered off to a session or somewhere, and Mark and I said to each other, well, that was quite a conversation. We didn't know if we had satisfied her curiosity or just convinced her that we were another thing being brought to nursing that would go nowhere. Well, a couple of hours later, Karlene returned, and she said to us, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring the Daisy Award to all of Aurora's hospitals. I've got 23 of them. We're going to do this all at once. It will be fun. And so Karlene was the first system chief nurse executive to bring Daisy to all of her nurses. And she told me it was because she believed it was only fair that they have Daisy recognition wherever they work throughout Aurora. Soon after, we asked Karlene to join Daisy's board of directors. She never hesitated to be straight with us. She taught us about the importance of research to substantiate that Daisy was actually having an impact. She was an amazing advocate. She brought her company, Simpler, to support our mission, and she took every opportunity to write and speak about Daisy's meaningful recognition because she felt that it elevated nursing. What Karlene believed in, she was unstoppable. Well, over the years, the friendship we built deepened, and Karlene and I talked almost daily. A few days after she told me she was going into hospice care, I asked her how she wanted all of us who love her to celebrate her life. And her response was, what celebration? She came, she went, she worked. As Peter Bierhaus said, that was so Karlene-ish, an adjective I now use all the time. Well, today you're going to hear from several people whose lives were uplifted and meaningfully impacted by Karlene. And I'm sure many of you watching this also have many loving words to share about Karlene, because she meant so much to you. So we've set up a kudos board where you can send a message to Karlene's family, and that kudos board link will be in the chat. And now may I introduce Karlene's beloved husband of 55 years, Dr. Bill Kerfoot, to lead us in a brief prayer. Bill?
Hi there. I'm the other Dr. Kerfoot. I would like to say a brief prayer, and I do mean brief. First of all, I would like to thank God for having this meeting of friends, colleagues, and family for Karlene's celebration and to be honored. It's a wonderful affair. I'm really excited about it. There are a couple of organizations that were very meaningful and dear to Karlene, and I would like to pray for both of those organizations. The first one is Simpler, in which Karlene worked for approximately 13 years. It had some other names before Simpler, but basically the same program. This is something that Karlene was deeply invested in and spent a lot of time working with. And there were two people in particular in the Simpler organization that I would like to thank, and that is BJ, the CEO, that bald-headed little guy that was sitting over there, and he actually is an ex-Marine like myself, so he's got to be a good guy. Semper Fi. And the other one is Kristen, Karlene's immediate supervisor. And these two people, I heard their names often in my household, usually in positive terms. They were both supportive of Karlene and helpful and cared for her. So thank you, Lord, for those two people. The other organization that I would like to bless and honor is the Daisy Foundation. Karlene was integrally involved in that organization as a board member, and she really was in alignment with their mission. And the two people I'd like to talk about in the Daisy Foundation are Bonnie and Mark. Bonnie's here today as the leader, and Mark's her wonderful husband. These two people were the founders of the Daisy Foundation and very good spokespeople for it. And they're administering it jointly now. So I would like to pray for them and thank them for what they do. Their organization is outstanding. If you haven't heard their speech, you should hear it. I cry every time I hear it. So I would like to next, Lord, thank you for giving me the privilege of spending 45 years with Karlene as her husband. She was a very good wife, mother, and grandmother. I would also like to thank you, Lord, for Karlene's brilliant intelligence, her sparkling personality, and her strong character. In particular, I would really like to thank you for granting her that tremendous work ethic that she had. She had the best work ethic of anybody I ever knew. Wonderful, constantly working, oftentimes in the middle of the night. In closing, I would like you to take care of Karlene in heaven, Lord, and let her spend time with her parents, her grandparents, and her brother Jim. So thank you very much for all that you do and all that you give us each day. I ask in your name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Bill. That was beautiful. And thank you for your tributes to Simpler and Daisy, and especially your prayers for Karlene. Well, now we have a video from some very special speakers of whom Karlene was enormously proud. Olivia, you ready to play it?
Yes.
My grandma was a great person because she was very supportive of me and my goals. When I was diagnosed with Legg-Perthes disease, she helped me find the best doctors to recover fast, and now I can excel at sports and different activities.
My grandma was a great influence on me. She was always giving me great advice, like how to manage my friendships, and she would help me with picking me up from school and volleyball practice. And she made me feel like I want to be a nurse. She helped me think happy thoughts, and I love her very much.
I love my grandma because we would always go on fun adventures. We would play Legos, and she would always make me laugh. And we would always smile and make jokes together.
I really love my grandma because she used to always catch bugs with me and cool bugs too. and she would always play Legos with me, and she would always go to cool places, and I liked when she blamed me to the museum. It was so cool.
Wouldn't we all like to have a grandma like Karlene, cool bugs and everything? Well, now it is my true honor to introduce one of Karlene's greatest fans, the Chief Executive Officer of Simpler, BJ Shaknowski. BJ?
Well, thank you so much, Bonnie, and Semper Fi to you as well, Bill. Bill, Karlene would always tell me that she could put up with all of my nonsense because she had spent 4 years putting up with your Marine nonsense. So I guess there is a familiarity there that she got to or had to deal with, depending on your point of view. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for attending this wonderful celebration of life. And what a life that we get to celebrate here. And I am so honored to be here as not a former colleague of Karlene's, but as a former friend of Karlene's and someone who looked up to her so much. And I have the distinct privilege of sharing with you all very briefly. And by the way, we could spend an hour doing just this, but I'm going to hit just some of her career highlights and her journey through nursing, because I do think it's so important, and we think it's so important that everyone really understands how long she served nursing and what she did for nursing. She was a registered nurse for over 40 years. She got a PhD from the University of Illinois in Chicago, an MA and a BSN from the University of Iowa. She attended executive leadership programs at the Wharton School for Nurse Executives. She was a tenured executive with esteemed roles in some of the largest healthcare systems in the United States. And she was a chief nursing officer at Simpler, responsible for really integrating so much of the science of patient care, staffing, clinical informatics into hospital workflows and the work that we did every day. She was, as Bonnie mentioned, the first CNE to bring DAISY to an entire system. And because of that, and so many of the other things we're talking about, she was the recipient of the DAISY Lifetime Achievement Award in 2023. In 2023, she was also a Stevie Award winner for Women of the Year in Healthcare. She was the creator of the Beyond Gratitude campaign with DAISY and AONL to provide meaningful recognition to nurse managers and to support their emotional well-being. She was a fellow of the American College of Health Data Management, a fellow to the American Academy of Nursing. She was a contributing writer to more than 400 articles in data-driven staffing, workforce management, and leadership and patient safety. She was the author of a popular leadership column for Nursing Economics. And as Bill mentioned, for the last 13 years, she was the chief voice in Simpler, representing nursing and the impact of not only what we built on the job they did, but more importantly, bringing the impact of the job nurses do to a lot of technologists at Simpler. She was a mentor. She was a friend. She was the leader of our clinical leadership group. She took this very green, very young CEO under her wing and tried to help him learn in 4 years as much about healthcare as she had amassed in 40. She failed, but she tried. Her work ethic is as renowned as her amazing personality and her smile. We at Simpler will all miss her very much. And probably the most important achievement during that 40+ year history is through it all, as Bill mentioned, she remained an amazing wife, an amazing mother, and an amazing grandmother. Bonnie, back over to you.
Thank you, BJ. Just trying to get my camera back on. Come on, camera. Well, I don't know anyone that could follow that experience better than Rhonda Anderson, a very long-time friend of Karlene's and a friend to all of us. Rhonda?
Thank you, Bonnie.
You know, Karlene and I worked together as colleagues and as friends for over 40 years. She's been such a supportive, caring mentor for me and for so many other of our colleagues, as you've heard a little bit about her already. She was forward thinking, she was provocative, she would ask us to think future, not just think now. And always, how will technology work in that new environment? She was wonderful. And I used her name to give traits of what I thought about Karlene and what I felt with Karlene when we worked together. Kind, authentic, resilient, a leader, an educator, a nurse's nurse who brought energy and empathy to her professional friends and family and to her personal family. We would always discuss family, and as you saw from her grandchildren, we had one in common. I have a Wilson and she has a Wilson. And she would always talk about Bill, how much she cared for him and loved him, and how those grandchildren gave her the grounding and the energy and the joy that they all brought to her life and to each of the circumstances that she faced medically. We had very deep conversations about how wonderful and grounding and foundational all her family members were. I want to say, Karlene, God gave you to all of us to share your love, your skills, and your knowledge. Now, God has wrapped his arms around you and relieved you of your pain and your suffering. However, we know that Karlene is an angel on our shoulders. She will always be there, whispering in our ears and in her family's ears. She's changed our profession. She's changed our personal worlds, and she will continue to do so. And we are so grateful that she has been our colleague and our mentor for so many years. Thank you, Bonnie, for asking me to speak.
Oh, Rhonda, that was just beautiful. And I hope you will put your Karlene in and your description of her through her name in the kudos book, because it's just wonderful. I love that. Next, may I introduce Kay Clevenger, who worked with Karlene when she was chief nurse at Clarion, now Indiana Health, before she was at Aurora. Thanks, Kay.
Thank you, Bonnie. I will always remember Karlene with fondness, appreciation, and admiration. I worked with Karlene. I had the great privilege and honor to work with her for 5 years. She came to Clarion Health, IU Health now, as the chief nurse executive. And she brought with her this great retention coordinator role that I want to tell you a little bit about. I would say that she was one of the most innovative and inspiring leaders I've ever worked with in my 48-year career. Karlene came to Clarion Health when it was a fairly new system. We were only about 4 years in, and we were putting together hospitals that had been competitive before, Indiana University Hospital and Riley Children's Hospital with Methodist Hospital. Karlene created an environment in which nurses flourished. I had been a really happy camper before for the 18 years that I had been there prior to Karlene's arrival, but she took us to heights that we never expected. We never knew that we could soar to. One of her very innovative ideas and strategies was to bring the retention coordinator role to Clarion. She had one of us at each of the downtown hospitals, and then one person was across the peri-op areas. We did such great work together, and it was a dream job that I had for 12 years. But just to show you also her fiscal responsibility, she would tell us, if you can save just 2 nurses per year from leaving Clarion, you paid for your salary. We did so much great work together that I will always cherish and remember. We did great work with AACN in implementing the AACN Healthy Work Environment Standards. I recall how connected Karlene was nationally, of course, and that would bring us lots of opportunities. For example, she was the chief nurse executive, the only nurse that was at the AACN press conference to release the standards in January 2005. She was there, of course, with Connie Barden from AACN and also the Joint Commission president and Joseph Grinny of Crucial Conversations fame. It happened to be that she had this connection, and she, in March of 2005, 2 months later, she brings Joseph Grinny to Clarion Health for an all-day sessions with all of us for Patient Safety Week. I remember sitting in the auditorium for a 2-hour session to learn more about Crucial Conversations and the Silence Kill study and how to speak up. And my learning partner was Ora Peskovich, a physician from Riley. So she did not only have an impact on our nursing department, she had an impact of all of Clarion Health. I will say in closing that her inspiring leadership will live on in all of us. I treasure my memories of working with Karlene, and I want to thank Bill and their son, Chris, for sharing her with us.
Thank you, Kay. And now may I introduce Dr. Anne Marie Brooks, another longtime colleague and friend of Karlene's.
Thank you, Bonnie. Karlene and I were psychiatric nurse soulmates. And I want to just mention Between the Dashes poem says it really doesn't matter the date of your birth, the date of your death. What really matters is what you do between the dashes. Karlene modeled the way by her vision, her values, and living them. She inspired a shared vision through her authenticity, humility, generosity of spirit, and love of what she did and the people she worked with. She understood and embraced uncertainty and focused on solutions to both old and new problems. She focused on why not. She was an expert at managing the unexpected, a tribute to her resilience, faith, and willingness to be vulnerable. What an exemplar of recognition and encouraging the heart. She excelled at shining the light all the right every day through her vision, voice, and vitality. Between the dashes, her love of family, her pride in being a wife, mother, grandmother, leader, friend, champion, and a human being. Karlene, your dashes are amazing. Your legacy remarkable. And all of us will forever feel your spirit and laughter forever. Thank you, Karlene. We love you.
Wow, Anne Marie, that was just beautiful. Thank you so much. Next, Dr. Cole Edmondson, the newly named Chief Executive Officer of the Nurses on Boards Coalition.
Hello, everyone, and to your friends and families and colleagues, it's truly an honor to be here. And I'm truly humbled to be here with you to both honor and celebrate our dear Karlene's life. There are simply no words that can fully honor her life to the full extent of the impact she had on individuals, communities, and the world. Because so often with Karlene, it wasn't just her words, it was her presence, the way she made you feel. Her presence was such a gift to us all, because when she was with you, she made you feel like the one that she was deeply connected with, the one that she wanted to support, the one that she believed in, the one that she wanted to help make your dreams come true, and most importantly, the one that she loved. She led with love. Karlene gave us grace, space, and a place. In grace, she was more interested in you than talking about her. She was gracious with her time, the sharing of her experiences, and she always made me laugh, even in the most difficult times. She made and held a space for us where we could be real, where we could feel seen and heard, And she inspired people like me to take risk and to try new spaces and to take leaps of faith in life and career. Throughout my friendship with Karlene, I always knew I had a safe place with her, and that was a place filled with love and light and positivity. Her realness was so powerful, you could not help but be inspired by it, by her and by her light. There are people that you meet along this journey that you know will help you to be better, to find your true purpose, and to be focused on what is important. And to me, that is who Karlene will always be. And I know it's the same for so many of you. You know, we are all part of her legacy, and we can honor her by doing exactly what she has done for us, by paying it forward with open hearts that love, with open minds that are inclusive, and with open hands that embrace one another and our shared humanity. That's who Karlene was. As a friend and as the CEO of the Nurses on Boards Coalition, we honor our colleague, her impact, by placing her name on the newly created honor roll for nurses who have served on boards and modeled the way for all of us through their examples. My heart is with all of you, her family, her friends, and her colleagues. Let us celebrate a life well lived. Thank you, Bonnie, for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for such beautiful, beautiful words, Cole. And next, I introduce with pride Daisy's Chief Executive Officer, AONL's President, Dr. Deb Zimmerman. Deb.
Thank you, Bonnie. I am certainly honored to be here and Cole such beautiful words. Karlene was truly a leader among all leaders. Her passion, her positivity, her kindness, as mentioned by so many, her vision, her courageousness, and her incredible authenticity were role models for all of us. She was a mentor and an extraordinary listener who made all of us feel valued and heard. I was a young chief nursing officer when we first met. Karlene made me feel important and that my opinion mattered and that I had value. She led with her heart. She saw the power of meaningful recognition and how meaningful recognition was that connection to our purpose as nurses and a way to transform nursing practice and to elevate patient care. It's not surprising that she was the first CNO to bring the Daisy Award to all of her hospitals in her health system. When I was named CEO of the Daisy Foundation, she was one of the first to congratulate me and provided great guidance when I wrote my first column for Jonah. Karlene said that she hoped to be remembered as a leader who advanced nursing practice through innovation, improved processes, and the translation of evidence into clinical practice. Oh, and did she do that? Her ability to translate the needs of clinicians with the technology gurus, absolutely magical, as was her ability to guide old goats like me into the ever-changing digital world. Her leadership in partnering with Nan Finnis and creating AONL's Leadership and Technology Transformation Committee, it's been transformative and will have national and worldwide impact. Karlene lived, loved, and laughed. That was her secret sauce for inspiring us, for change, for bringing joy to the workplace and creating thriving environments. She hoped people would remember her for helping nurses become the nurses they aspired to be. And oh, what a difference she made. Karlene's legacy of compassion, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to nursing will live on in all of those of us that she has inspired. Thank you, Bonnie, for this opportunity.
And thank you, Deb. That's a perfect segue to her most recent partner in innovation, Nan Finnis, Chief Nurse Executive at UKG. Nan.
I hope you can see me, Bonnie. Oh.
There you are.
Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. I as well am very honored to be here today to talk about Karlene. We have known each other for about 25, 30 years professionally, And as Deb and Bonnie just mentioned, we've been so connected over the last couple of years. In fact, probably talking 3 or 4 times a week. But I just thought I'd give a little snapshot. I think the reflections that we've all heard are really truly validating of how I feel about Karlene and her expertise and just her I call her love. I thought I'd just give a couple of remarks that might be unique to a couple of things we've done recently. But we are in our 2 businesses right now, we have been, competitors at large, and we aimed over the last couple of years to combat that and say nurses work across aisles, nurses work across competitive businesses, and we wanted to change the industry. So Karlene and I started the committee with AONL on a napkin back and decided that there were a few tenets that we wanted to make sure happened. One is that we needed to leave the industry, healthcare and nursing, with something of significant value. We had to move quickly and be impactful. And that was something that Karlene, every time we talked, Nan, can we do this quickly? We've got to get this done. We've got to get this done. So together, I think we were a great pair. She was the motivator and the thinker, and we surrounded ourselves with a team of doers as well. Work across all aisles. No one is a stranger. Get to know each other personally. When we had personal losses over the last couple of years or just personal reflections that came forward, we would always take a few moments of our business talk time to connect on those levels. No one was a stranger. Nothing was too challenging. Let's take it on. Why not? Why can't we do this, Nan? And I think we shared that sentiment, and we're on our way to make those challenging things more simple and more accessible. And I would just leave with Karlene was love, as I said, and I would send her a heart and tell her how much I loved her. Nothing is on the verge of not happening, and I would just say nursing is on the verge of greatness. And I thank you, Karlene, for that.
Thank you, Nan. And there's that theme once again. Why not? Right? Why not with urgency? Our next speaker, Dr. Jennifer Mensick Kennedy, President of the American Nurses Association.
Thank you. When someone passes and people talk about when they met someone, I was thinking to myself, like, when did I first meet Karlene? And I don't remember. And it's not because she wasn't impactful, but she's always been in my life, whether it was through her publications or presentations. She has always been there before I even knew her. And so the great part about her career and her legacy is there's so many people who will never get to meet her, but they'll meet her through her work, and they'll feel like they will know her because she was so authentic in everything that she did and everything that she wrote. She was my academy sponsor a decade ago, and she's always been a mentor and a leader and an advocate. Doing what she could do to make the world a better place for nurses and ultimately every human being. And I remember talking about all of her grandchildren and children and her husband, and how much she was trying to improve everything for them through nursing care. And as the president of the American Nurses Association, I get to meet a lot of amazing nurses, not only nationally, but globally. And I can tell you without a doubt, Karlene is one of the most amazing nurses in the world, hands down. So I will turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And next, I'd like to introduce the very recently retired Dr. Mary Beth Kingston. Thank you so much, Mary Beth, and congratulations to you on your Daisy Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, thank you. It was quite an honor, and it certainly is an honor to be here today. I remember distinctly when I first met Karlene. It was at a lunch at an AONL conference in 2000. I had joined a consulting firm that specialized in executive nursing search services. And the CEO there had these really interesting way of describing people she was working with. So I said, tell me about Karlene. And she said, she is just boom. And she certainly fit that description. A true dynamo, but with such grace and class. I didn't reconnect with Karlene until much later, and I don't think I ever told her how significant a role she played in my career. I was approached about a system CNO position at Aurora Healthcare in Milwaukee. I didn't know a great deal about Aurora or Milwaukee, but I did know one thing. I knew that Karlene Kerfoot had been the chief nursing officer there. And I thought, this must be a great organization to have attracted someone of her caliber. I also reached out to Karlene at that time, who, not knowing me very well, spent a lot of time helping me through what was a very difficult decision for me and one that proved to be pivotal in my career. And as you have heard from others, mentoring was just one example of her generosity, mentoring in time. When we reconnected, Karlene had moved more into industry and we began a partnership, and one that then developed into a friendship. Her perspective in so many areas was invaluable to me as a chief nurse executive. Her ability to look at an issue or problem from many perspectives, so helpful. And I think we've heard this theme. I can still hear her saying, now let's think about how we can make that work whenever any type of barrier arose. So we partnered on work solutions, but I never spoke to her where she wasn't interested in what other challenges I was facing. She was passionate about nursing, of course, but she loved engaging with people. And invariably, our conversations would start and end with discussions about our respective families, grandchildren, travel. She was always interested in me or in anyone as a person. So it's been said by others, but I think it bears repeating. When you have touched that many lives, your spirit and legacy live on. And I know that I am, and I think all of us are, better for having crossed paths with Karlene Kerfoot. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Mary Beth. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is the editor-in-chief of Nursing Economics and the dean of Rutgers Camden School of Nursing, Dr. Donna Nikitas.
Good morning, everyone. Karlene Kerfoot will always be my true North Star. Her impeccable words, her unwavering advocacy, her tireless activism set a standard a few could match. As I know today, there are over 250 participants. I see the light she brought into your lives as a testament of her long and distinguished career and her profound impact on nursing, on leadership, and on humanity. I first met Karlene as a member of the Nursing Economics editorial board, where her brilliance was immediately evident. Later, we would collaborate on critical issues like nurse staffing, and I had the privilege of working more closely with her when I became editor of Nursing Economics. As a newcomer to the world of nursing journalism, I couldn't have asked for a better mentor. Karlene wasn't just a guide, she was a cheerleader, a source of boundless encouragement. She pushed me to become a better writer, to think more broadly, to embrace a visionary perspective, to always look upstream and anticipate what might lie beyond the corners and the curves where others remained blinded. And today, as we gather to honor Karlene's life and legacy, I feel her profound loss, her physical presence not here, but I also feel her enduring spirit. Her true North Star may be gone, but it has been transformed, shining brightly within each of us who will carry on her forward lessons, her vision, and hope for a better world. Karlene, thank you for your guidance, your friendship, and for the gift of your extraordinary life. You will forever light our way. Thank you for this opportunity to remember my friend. Bonnie, back to you.
Donna, thank you so much. And your remarks really resonate. I mentioned Dr. Peter Bierhaus in my opening remarks. He was a dear friend of Karlene's, a writing partner, a research partner, and a special friend to Bill as well. And I know, Peter, you've got a lot to say about your thoughts about Karlene.
Thank you, Bonnie. I spent 7 hours with Karlene just a few days before she passed, and I was with her when she was lying in a hospital bed in a hospice. She was receiving oxygen through a nasal cannula, and she spoke with a very faint whisper, and I had to get within just inches to understand what she was saying. But let me tell you, she was a chatty Cathy that day. She never stopped talking the entire 7 hours I sat next to her. We talked about everything: University of Texas, football, politics, the environment, books that we read, nursing, you name it. We covered it all. Oftentimes, she would communicate just with her eyes or a smile and a lot of laughter. And I have not laughed that much, nor I think her, in a long, long time. It was a lot of fun to be with her. Of course, we talked a lot about nursing, and she told me about some of the challenges that she had faced in her career. And she told me some stories about everyone that has spoken here this morning. And I have to say, they were pretty entertaining, and a little bit different from what you have said, but that was fun. And she talked about her nightly calls with Carol Ann Kavoris, going shopping with Frank Schaefer, and working with Sue Ellen Ellerby to straighten out an organization. And of course, Karlene talked about her family, and she told me that Bill would have a hard time at first, but then she said, you have to appreciate how strong he is. And she told me about all the mountains that he had to climb to regain his health. And she felt the same way about Chris, that he too was strong and that he would go about making the most of his life and being with his children. But she said the thing that she would miss is being with her grandchildren. And this is when she had some tears in her eyes. And I reminded her that they would always have her, that she would be with them all through their lives, because all they had to do was hear her name or think about her. And in a millionth of a second, there she would be. And they would see her and they would feel you, Karlene. And Bill would have you and Chris would have you as well. That seemed to help a little bit. But the thing that I was most sort of affected by was something that Karlene said to me when we were talking about the idea of regret in life. And it was so profound, what she said, and frankly, it was so Karlene-ish. And she told me, to live life to its fullest, you have to understand and accept that regret is part of that package. And I wrote those words down because I asked her to repeat them. To live life to its fullest, you have to understand and accept that regret is part of the package. So I asked Karlene, I said, do you have any regrets? And she closed her eyes, she lifted her head upward, and she had a big smile came over her face, and she said, plenty of them. And that smile kept on her face, and there was a sense of deep satisfaction. And she said again, plenty of them. So that told me that Karlene knew and understood she had lived a full life. So thank you, Bonnie and Simpler, for all you've done to help make this day come about.
Peter, thank you for sharing the last day that Karlene was communicating. And thank you for sharing her words and her thoughts. And leave it to Karlene to make that last day a day of fun, not to mention profound thoughts. So thank you. Finally, as I'm sure so many of you nurses know, that when a nurse passes away, there's a tradition in nursing that is beyond touching. May I introduce the Advocate Health Nurses Honor Guard. I believe you may be on mute, Patricia.
Yeah.
There you go.
Are the Advocate Health
Connecticut Health Nurses Honor Guard, and we are here to pay tribute to our dear friend and colleague, Karlene Kerfoot. Nursing is a calling, a lifestyle, a way of living. Nurses here today honor Karlene. We honor her and we honor her life as a nurse. Karlene is not to be remembered by her years as a nurse, but by the difference she made during those years by stepping into people's lives, by adding to our times and our special moments. She was there.
When a calming, quiet presence was all that was needed, Karlene was there. In the excitement and miracle of birth or the mystery and loss of life,
Karlene was there.
When a silent glance could uplift a patient, family member, or friend,
Karlene was there.
At those times when the unexplainable needed to be explained,
Karlene was there.
And when a touch, firm push, or an encouraging word was needed,
Karlene was there.
In choosing the best one from a family's box of chocolates,
Karlene was there.
To witness humanity, its beauty, in good times and bad, without judgment,
Karlene was there.
To embrace the woes of the world willingly and offer hope,
Karlene was there.
And now that it is time to be at the greater one's side,
Karlene is there.
Karlene, we honor you this day and give you this white rose to symbolize our honor and appreciation for being our colleague.
So I would now ask for all of our nurses that are on this call, if you feel comfortable, please turn on your cameras and stand as we do a final call. Karlene. 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 We officially release you from your nursing duties. Bonnie, I turn it back to you.
Thank you to all of you. That was, as I said, beyond touching and so appropriate. You know, an hour doesn't come close to being enough time to celebrate our beloved Karlene. Karlene had a lot to say about time. She made that clear that to all of us that time with her family and her friends was her priority. She had time to go to volleyball games and football games and museums and play Lego and even collect cool bugs. She had time to counsel and laugh with and encourage love and care for Bill, Chris, Kara, Carter, Michelle, Wilson, and Kane. We all know that you, her family, were her pride and joy. In her professional life, Karlene felt strongly that healthcare organizations needed to create time for nurses to provide the compassionate care that's so much a part of excellent nursing practice. She called this time the moments that matter in nursing. And each of our speakers today, and I'm sure all of you tuned into this celebration, have had moments that matter with Karlene, moments of joy and laughter, of stimulating conversation, and experiences you've shared that have been etched in your minds and in your hearts forever. Karlene did indeed leave this world a better place for having been in it as a loving wife, a devoted mother, a really fun grandmother, an unfaltering friend, and as an extraordinary nurse. Her love for people knew no bounds. Once again, I hope many of you will share your thoughts about Karlene's impact on your lives and your Karlene-ish stories in her kudos board that we'll be sending to the Kerfoot family. I'm so grateful that we got to share this special time together to celebrate the unforgettable Dr. Karlene Kerfoot. Her legacy lives on, in us all. Thank you so much for being here.